Okay, so again, let's analyze the vertex now of a function in this form here and determine if it's a minimum or maximum. So let's take a function like this one and find its vertex and determine if it's a minimum or maximum. So let's observe a couple things. The vertex is the only point that it does not have a symmetric point, so it's whatever makes this 0. So the x value would have to be -8, and you can see that if -8 is the x value, that all of this right here becomes 0. So the y value would be just the 2 that's left out here, right? If you plug -8 in here, you get -8 plus 8. This whole thing here is 0, and then when you square it, that's 0. And when you multiply that by -3, that's still 0. So the y is just the 2 that's left out here. Okay, so the vertex in this case is -8, 2, the order pair -8, 2. And you know, without actually graphing this parabola, since this number in the front is negative, the parabola shape would look like this, right? And you know it opens downward because this is negative, and this is your vertex, which we know is the ordered pair -8, 2. And you can clearly see, since this is the highest point, the highest vertical point, you can say this is a maximum point. And so now this is a maximum point because it's the highest point. The value of this point is, well, the reason it's a maximum is because it's high, based on its y value, the height of it, right? The height of it makes it its maximum. So for that reason, we can say that 2 is the maximum value. A value is a number, such as 2. A point is an ordered pair. So you have to distinguish between a maximum point and a maximum value. 2 is the maximum value because that's how high this point is. Its y value is how high it is. So the y coordinate is always going to be your minimum or maximum value because that's how high or low the point is. Okay, let's try another example. In this case, we need to get the vertex, we need to figure out what would make the x part of this 0. Well, the x part is simply x. So if x is 0, then x squared is 0. So the x coordinate of the vertex would be 0. And you can see that if x is 0, x squared would be 0, and 0 times -1/4 is also 0. So the y coordinate is 0 as well, because when x is 0, y is 0. And since this number in the front, again, is negative, the parabola will open downward. So by looking at this, we get this sort of graph again. The vertex here is the maximum, because it's the highest point. So this is the maximum point. And the y coordinate here is the highest point, the highest value, so this 0 is the maximum value. Okay? So a point is an ordered pair, a value is a number. Let's try some more. Here's another example. To make the x part 0, x would have to be 3. So the vertex would be the ordered pair 3, comma. Well, if x is 3, this whole thing's 0, and 0 times 2 is 0. So the y coordinate of the vertex would be 0 in this case. Since the number in front is positive, the parabola opens upward, so the parabola looks like this now. The vertex, of course, is here, which is the ordered pair 3, 0. Now, this, since it opens upward, this is a minimum point. And the lowest value that this parabola attains is the 0, the y coordinate. So 0 is the minimum value. Alright, so this one opens upward. Okay, in this example, for the vertex, figure out what makes the x part 0. Well, again, x isn't added or subtracted to anything, so if x is 0, x squared is 0. So the x coordinate is 0. And if x is 0, all of this is 0, so the y value would just be the 8 that's left. And since the 7.5 is positive, the parabola opens upward, and your vertex is 0, 8. So this is it's the lowest point, so it's a minimum point. And then the y coordinate is the lowest value it gets, so 8 is the minimum value.